Welcome to the Mind Chimp podcast. Nikki, welcome to the Mind Chimp podcast. How are we doing?
Thank you. I am doing super well. How are you?
I'm good. I feel like this is the hottest day known to man. It's so hot. So hot.
I have never had a fan in my office, and I have a fan in here today. Every window is open despite it being construction everywhere, like around us. And I'm just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Don't care.
Embrace noise and the dust. Love it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. It feels so. I guess before we even get into this, there's an accent coming from you. So you're based in Jersey, right?
In the Channel Islands, Jersey. Yes.
Yeah. And where was it you was before then?
Before I was in Berlin, and before that I was in New York City.
Okay.
And originally American. That's the accent, but people get confused. People get really disappointed actually because I sign on to meetings and like obviously I'm in the UK now and I'm like, "Hi." And they're like, "You don't have a British accent."
How dare
I'm like,
you?
Sorry. I know it's disappointing for me, but my husband makes fun of me because I have a terrible pretend British accent. It literally makes his ears bleed.
Oh,
so
really?
yeah. I try not to do it.
I kind of want to hear it though. Want to hear it.
All right. No, that's maybe that's Australian.
Amazing.
Let's see.
Okay. I mean, it's up there, I guess. I guess the reason why I was asking that is because obviously you would have been used to a world with aircon, and then today it feels like that is a thing needed right now.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I actually don't like aircon. I'm more of a because I'm perpetually cold. I am never a warm person. So the like 3 times a year where I'm like, I'm content and everybody else is dying of heat. I'm like, I don't care. Like I suffer for the rest of the year. So
amazing.
yeah, that's my vibe.
Embrace it.
Yeah. I'm like, just be hot. You're fine. You'll get through it. You'll be fine tomorrow.
It's the worst that can happen.
Yeah.
So I guess normally when I get people on, I guess the first question I ask them is, what is the log line? So yeah, I guess Nikki, tell me what your log line is.
Yeah, of course. So I would say I am a qualitative user researcher who loves petting literally any animal that I can find. Okay. Including fish. We have 11 koi fish that I have taught to feed out of my hand and I pet them. So anything.
Skills straight away. Where does that come from? That love for petting? Is it just I love all animals?
Yeah, it's that vibe. I'm just obsessed. Like I can't read books or watch movies in which there is like any animal trouble happening. It's just no. I have to look up like there's the website doesthedogdie.com and like I literally have to go on that because I will like rage quit and then I will be so upset for the rest of the like week. So yes, I don't know what it is.
I mean, yeah, that website is definitely needed. I can watch a movie where 20 people die, no problem. Yeah. But if the dog gets it, it's like game over.
It's the end. End.
I'm going to add that into the show notes. It's needed for everyone. So straight away, there's your first gift. So thank you.
Actionable insight right there. Doesthedogdie.com.
So I guess obviously I've known you. I think we've known each other for a couple of years on LinkedIn, and we've talked back and forth. But maybe from our listeners who don't know you, maybe talk us a little bit about who you are, and maybe walk us through like your career history. I guess is probably a good spring point.
Yeah, for sure. So I got my master's in psychology. So when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a clinical psychologist. It was either that or a vet. And then I went to the vet's office like one summer because my parents were like, you're going to hate this, but you're too stupid to know that. And I went and I did like an internship and I saw that they had to deal with a lot of sad things with animals. So I just left. I was like, I can't. I was like 8 years old and I was like, no thanks. I opt out of this, unsubscribe. And so from there, I went into clinical psychology for some reason. So I've always been fascinated with the mind and where the mind goes and how people think and how people perceive the world. And I am also super into reading, and I started reading all these books on psychology, went into psychology for my undergrad as well.
Okay.
and then got my master's in psychology, realized that I suck at making boundaries. So I can't work in a mental hospital with clinically severe patients. And so then I was like, what's easier? And I went to a party. I was living in New York City. I went to a party and somebody was like, I do UX. And I was like, what's that? Literally, this is how I found out about UX. Took General Assembly, hated design because I can't draw a circle. Like I can't even complete a circle. I can't even complete a square, like with a ruler. And we had one day on user research and I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do forever. And I found my way in the door by getting an internship that I basically had to pay for, is what it felt like. And from there on, I've worked in New York City. I've worked in Berlin. I've worked over here now in B2B, B2C, startups, large companies, mid-sized companies, as a consultant, as a manager. And now I own my own company, teaching researchers how to up-level in their career.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So I guess going from the vet right away through to now, what, I guess on reflection, would you like to go back to being a vet now, or would you still be like, no, keep me away from it?
0%, like negative 100. No,
Okay.
I say, because like I think my emotional capacity for dealing with animals in danger at risk has only gotten worse, because now I have my own animals. So we had 13 koi fish, and I told my husband, I was like, I don't want to get 13. I love the number 13. I'm not going to lie, but I was like, I just don't want to get 13 because I feel like that's a bad idea, because I'm superstitious about my animals, and 2 of them died. And literally, like, I was in shambles for 2 fish. And my husband was like, I'm actually concerned for you because what happens when like our cats and our dog, who I've had for like 10 plus years, pass away. So yeah, he's in for a world of pain.
oh man.
Yeah. So no to a vet.
Yeah.
Just no.
100%. It's interesting you mentioned dog. So I have a Tibetan Terrier, big fur. Well, I say a big fur ball, a small fur ball.
Yeah.
And he's 13 now, so he's an old man.
Baby.
Yeah. But last year, beginning this year, he got diagnosed with diabetes. So apparently, old dogs, it can just come on overnight. So he's a healthy dog. It's just overnight. So he's got to start having like injections now and have this whole routine. But then obviously, once you start having insulin, you get the dogs, it can drive cataracts. So I'm like, I'm watching this dog, this little part of my life, slowly but surely, like bump into things. I'm like, oh no, sad times.
Poor buddy.
Yeah. So I get that. World of pain. When dogs go, I get it. Like children, right? I don't have children, but I imagine it's exactly the same in my mind anyway.
Yeah, mine too. I have no capacity for what it would be like to have a child, but I'm like, yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, sounds about right. Okay, so before we get into you, and I'd like to go right back to the beginning of you. I ask the guest to pick one number between 1 and 12. What number would you pick?
7, please.
7. Okay, my last guest picked 7, so this is interesting. So I'm going to ask you a question now, and I don't want the answer yet.
Okay.
I'll come back round to it. So the question what you picked, number 7, is what's the one difficult thing you've had to apologise for? Okay.
Well, yeah.
So that's your question. I'll come back later on. So
easy.
Which one? How many? So I guess let's get into kind of you then. So I guess, you talked about vets right away when you was a wee child, let's say.
Yeah.
Can you remember when you was a child the first time you ever got in trouble?
The first time I got in trouble, yes, I can.
Okay, tell me about that.
Okay. So my parents both worked full time when I was growing up. And so we actually had a nanny. And I still love her. I'm not in contact with her. Her name is Marlucy. If she is by any chance listening, hi, Marlucy. She's not. And so we went to a grocery store, and at this grocery store, they had like the buffet where you can get a container and you put food into it and you then pay at the register. So I was fascinated because it was like a tinfoil container. And so I took one of the tinfoil containers and I put it under my shirt. and I stole it, right?
Okay.
Yes. And but I took it obviously out from under my shirt when I was in the car with Marlucy, and I was like playing with it in the light, and I was like holding it. I put the window down and I was like flapping it in the air, and she stopped and she was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Uh-oh." And she drove back and made me go. They brought out the manager of the store, and I had to give him back the tinfoil container and apologize. So like this is in theme. It definitely wasn't the hardest thing I've ever had to apologize for, but it's up there. So that was one of the first times that I remember getting in trouble.
Okay. Yeah. This is good. And I guess from being a shoplifter, let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
Straight up
I haven't continued that trend, but sure.
And I want to think about, and I will bounce back and forth. But I guess if I was to give you like a pirate's treasure chest right now, okay, and you can fill that kind of treasure chest up with 5 memories. What memories would you fill it up with?
Oh my goodness, what a great question. 5 memories. The first time that I turned on my Game Boy for playing the first version of Pokemon Red version would be definitely way up there.
Okay.
I hope my husband's not listening. I mean, our wedding. No, definitely like that first time that I turned on that Game Boy and played Pokemon on that Game Boy Color. The second one would probably actually, to be completely honest, be our wedding party. Okay. So we eloped in Denmark because it was during COVID. And then we were able to have our wedding party over here on Jersey 2 years later. So it was just us two in Denmark. And finally, like everybody could come together for our wedding party. And it's because we're so global with our family and friends. We had never had that mix of people together. And it was just like 4 days of just like awesome people like mingling that you would just never think about and see in like any other setting. And I would say, what's another wonderful memory? I would probably say my first time walking around in New York City after I moved there. Okay. Being like, this is my place. Like I live here now. This is my home now. And then my first, this sounds so nerdy, but it's true. My first generative research interview that I did well on.
Okay.
Because I sucked at them for a really long time. And then it was this memory where my manager came and he looked at me and he was just like, "You did such a great job. I'm so proud of you." And I was like, he was my favorite manager. Hi, John, if you're listening. And the last one would probably be, we had this summer house up in Maine, my parents and I, and we've sold it. But it was like, I can't even begin to describe how amazing it was up there. And so I would want to probably, I don't know one particular memory that I would want to go back to there for, but probably like one of the last days that I was there because I was in such full appreciation of it. Nice. Yeah, those would be my 5.
Nice. So the New York one, I guess when I'm listening to little bits of playfulness, I guess, one way or another. Playfulness on the kind of the wedding and getting everyone together, playfulness of a Game Boy. And then there's something around, like you say, that kind of in Maine where I imagine there was elements of playful. I could be making it up. But the New York one's quite an interesting one because I was actually having a conversation with someone from New York 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And I was asking him about his life in New York. So he's been all over the place, UK, Brazil, wherever else. And he was saying he's finding it really hard in New York because in one respect, it's like super connected, but when it's also easy just to be part of a noise and not actually be kind of connected. How was your experience in New York?
So I would say that I was there in a very, I have not been there since 2018. Okay. So I don't know how it's changed. So I first got there in 2011. and I lived there until 2018. But I would say that New York can be the loudest place, but the loneliest place on earth, because you are surrounded by people, you're surrounded by noise, but you can also feel within that space really isolated on your own. And that was an experience that I definitely had in New York City. And it was one that forced me to work through being okay with being alone, which was a very, very important thing because I was a serial monogamist
Right. Okay.
for a really long time before I moved to New York City. And so being in a place where there were so many people and there was so much noise, but also that kind of got you on your own, especially if you're like living alone and you're surrounded by people, but you're ultimately alone. It really helped me work through like what it was like to be on my own.
Right. Nice.
Yeah.
I was over there for a couple, maybe a year ago. No, it's got a year, give or take. It was after COVID. And first time I've ever been to New York. So in my mind, I had these scenes of like, in every single movie. Very cliche, I know. I was like, right, some hot spots. Go and see where Home Alone 2 was filmed. Some other things like so many little hot spots. But I went sitting in Times Square. So I'm someone who likes to just take in a noise. And this is probably the observer and like that sense making side of me is like, I just people watch and observe. And I remember just thinking, wow, everyone's just kind of bumping and rushing past each other. And how many people are actually taking time out to actually observe what was going on? It was fascinating just to kind of take it all in.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's amazing to be like, nobody looks up in New York City. It's unbelievable. And if you look up, it's quite stunning, but nobody looks up.
That's crazy. And it reminds me, actually, I was in London. So I'm based in Manchester. So shout out to all the London people I'm going to offend right now. But it's well known that people up north are much nicer than people down south.
I've heard the same. My husband's from the north, so.
They're winner. So I remember the first time I went to London and I was on the tube and this petite girl got on and she was just stood there on a tube and I'm on a tube. I'm like, wow, I get to have conversations with people. Everyone in London's like, don't talk to me.
No.
And I watched this guy get on. He must have been about 6 foot and this lady, be like, not girl, this lady was there and he had a big rucksack on. He turned around, knocked her right across the tube on the floor and then just looked up and down and carried on about his day. I'm like, oh my days. If you was up in Manchester, I'd be like, oh no, let me help you up. Do you want to come around to my house for tea? Like it'd be all that stuff. It wouldn't be, and that's why it reminded me of a New York kind of vibe and reminded me of that a little bit. Okay, sorry. Tangent on New York. So I guess the other question I've got then, and these are probably two little, I guess, deeper questions. If you could sit on a bench with one person for 1 hour, and you could have that 1 hour with them, they can be dead, alive, whatever. Who's the one person who you would have on that bench, and why would you pick them?
Stephen King.
Okay. Why?
I'm a fiction writer. I'm a horror fiction writer, and he is my favorite horror author.
Okay.
Which I'm now putting myself in either somebody's like, I love Nikki, or somebody's like, I hate Nikki. She has the worst taste in horror authors. Yeah. There's no in between with Stephen King. So I would say Stephen King because I would love to just understand what happens there in his mind, like pick it apart. And he talks a lot because obviously everybody in the world has asked him, like, where do you get ideas? And I'm sure he would punch me in the face if I asked him that, if he has to answer that one more time. But I'd rather like to know just like what happens in your mind? Like, where are you in your mind? What's happening? What are the points and moments where you're like, ooh, idea, ooh, this, like, oh, just like what is happening in there? Give me your brain, Stephen King. If you're listening, Stephen King. Hi.
My name's Nikki.
Yeah. Please contact me.
It's funny. I read one of Stephen King's books recently. It was actually, I think it might have been just through COVID. The Institute, it was called.
Yeah. Yes.
And it was great. Kind of had a lot of crossover with like Stranger Things, I found. But I didn't find this out until way longer. So one of my favorite movies is Stand By Me.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that Stephen King wrote that original book for Body. I was like, oh, so I had to go out and then buy the book to then even enjoy the movie even more. So yeah,
Yeah.
shout out to Stephen King.
Yeah. He's pretty cool. He's
He
pretty
is.
cool.
He is. He's pretty good. So I guess I want to go full circle then. So we talked about the playfulness aspect, the Game Boying, the kind of being up in Maine. How do you bring playfulness into your life?
Writing hugely. I know that I said that I write about horror, which doesn't sound very playful. But writing is, for me, like a very playful activity because it's light, it's creative, it's fun, it's exploration, it's moving into different universes through my characters. So definitely within that realm. And then in terms of just like day-to-day playfulness, I slaughter myself with self-deprecating jokes. And it's so fun. I don't know. I like it because I like I think playfulness also for me comes with I can do that through my writing, like on my own independently, but playfulness for me comes from like interaction. So it's often like joking around with, playing with, like self-deprecating myself so somebody else gets some sort of joy out of it, right? Like that kind of like interaction for me is very, very important. Like I love pranks. Like, my husband hates horror. He hates jump scares. He hates pranks, right? And I'm all for them. I'm horrible.
I mean, either something's happened there, either he's realized that too late and after you've got married, or he was like, actually, this is good balance. Like, how, yeah.
I think he knew before. I'm not sure if he's on board with it still.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he was like, yeah, there's good balance here. I don't think so. I think he was just like, this is one of those things where you have to compromise. There's enough good there that I can overlook this prank thing.
I can deal with it. I can do it. I mean, every day I'm like having a wit scared out of me. But yeah, I can deal with this. Why not? I guess that's maybe he's rational.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. There could be worse things, right?
Yeah. Fair. How did you meet your husband?
So he was working at HelloFresh in Berlin because their main office is in Berlin. He's senior director of product now at Delivery Hero, but he was a product manager at HelloFresh. And I was in the New York office. And I went over because most of the product team was in Berlin. So I went over. I almost didn't go on that trip because my dog, I was bending over the bed and my dog jumped up and actually gave me a concussion.
Wow.
Yeah.
What dog is it? What dog?
He's tiny. But it was just he was young. He was excited. And just the place that he hit me in the head, just his head is hard. There was a great deal of circumstances that happened to like give me a mild concussion from my dog, which is actually quite sad. So that happened. So I almost didn't go on the trip, but I ended up going over to Berlin and I went straight into the office. I like tripped over everything because I'm a very clumsy person. And like he came to help me with like my luggage and stuff. And I looked at him and I was like, oh, I love you. Like literally, I didn't say it out loud. And then I had a meeting with him and I was like, I love you more. And then I tried to flirt with him over Slack, which is not like the place where you go to flirt. I
mean, if you're a writer, maybe it is.
Yeah. I tried. He ignored me. Didn't really get it. Then he came to New York with some of our mutual friends and we met up and I basically was like, listen, I like love you. So
how's this going to pan out?
Let's figure out a way to get married. And I essentially like dropped everything and moved to Berlin.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it could have turned out much worse. We have a really nice story.
Yeah. I mean, oh, wow. Yeah. Berlin's an interesting one. I've only been for a holiday.
Yeah.
How was living in Berlin? Like, obviously, you're in Jersey now. Like, but how was Berlin living life of Berlin? I guess.
To be completely honest, I really, really struggled. Okay. In Berlin, it was very hard for me. It was a huge culture shock because there's the language barrier. Which Berlin, it's like a little bit easier because a lot of people speak English. They say Berlin's not really Germany, right? Like it's just like a melting pot. And there are a lot of English speaking people, but like I'm the kind of person who will come up to you if I'm checking out at a grocery store, I will be like, how are you today? Not because like it's standard custom thing to say in some countries like America, but because I'm genuinely like, how are you today? Like I actually care. Like I'm not just like asking you things for funsies, right?
Yeah.
And in Berlin, they're like, why are you asking me? Like it's very cold. It's very like,
Yeah.
yeah, like it. And I struggled so much with that. Once you get in with them, they are the fluffiest, warmest, gooeyest, most loyal people in the whole entire world. But like until that, there's like a very pretty tough exterior. And I really, really struggled with that. And also we were in Berlin for COVID. And while it was like cool that like I could walk through the Reichstag, like, or by the Reichstag and like through the Brandenburg Gate with like nobody else there, that lasted for like a day. And I was like, yeah, no, this is now apocalyptic.
Oh wow. It's interesting that kind of how are you? It reminded me of a story. So years ago, I used to be in learning development in a big corporate, and I used to have a story of this guy and a girl and in the car, and then the girl's driving the car and the guy's smiling at all these strangers. And she said, What are you doing? Why are you smiling at all these randomers? And he was telling a story about someone in his company having a bad time at work, and they decided, you know what, today's the day I'm gonna end it. So this guy walks up to a bridge, and as he was about to jump off this bridge, 1 foot off, he stepped back over and walked back down. And the police came to this guy who was going to commit suicide, and he said, what stops you from jumping? And he said, just as I was about to turn and jump off, I turned round and a car drove past me with a little girl in, and she smiled and waved at me. And he was like, someone's seen me. And it was kind of, and I think there's something quite nice about that. Like, yeah. I mean, doing that in Berlin is a task, but kudos to you for doing it.
Yeah.
Massively.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's such a, it's such a meaningful story. Like you don't have to have deep conversations with people to impact them, because you never know what somebody might be going through on a given day. And just those small, and it could just go to show there's just so many small moments that you can have in a day that can take you from, happy to irritated, for sure.
Yeah.
But also the other way around.
Yeah, 100%. I kind of bang around this when I'll use design labs, but whatever you want to call them. It is literally the little big things. It's some little big things what are massive. I'm going to ask you a deep question, and then I'm going to get into asking lots and lots of questions about research and stuff like that. Yeah. So I think the question was, what's the one, I think I might have gave you an out, but the hardest thing you've ever had to apologize for?
Yeah. So I can give two answers if this first one technically doesn't count, because it was a self-appointed apology.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
So the situation didn't necessarily warrant one, but I self-appointed it onto myself.
Okay.
Which is what self-appointed means, Nikki. So I obviously left my parents behind with moving to Berlin, and also pretty much choosing to never return to the United States, right? To never live there, because we're never going to live there. Like, we are in Jersey. Jersey is probably going to be our forever home. If it's not our forever home, we'll be on the mainland somewhere next to the ocean. Nice. And so one of the hardest things, or the hardest times that I have felt like I had to apologize, was for leaving my parents and going to a place that is so far, that is so hard for them to get to, considering the fact that they both have health problems. That one of them, my dad, so much that it makes it even harder for him to travel. Right. So I think that moment, again, like, it didn't necessarily warrant an apology from my side, but I almost felt definitely guilty, but I felt apologetic in that moment of essentially saying, I know we have X amount of Christmases left, but I might not see you for them. And it's still quite tough. And obviously they keep getting older. They're going to be here in like 6 days though. They're coming to visit us, which is going to be really nice. But yeah, I think that was one of the hardest things that I've ever, I guess, self-appointed an apology for. I don't know if that counts.
Yeah, that definitely counts. That definitely counts. I think that's one of the hardest decisions, right? I've been offered a role in Dubai recently, and I'm in that position where I'm like, do I go? Do I not go? Similar to you, right? My parents, they're not getting any younger. We're not like old by any stretch of imagination, but we have sounds like you, quite a close knit family, couple of brothers, and it's often the hardest choice, right? Like what is right for you versus what's right for the family. That's a tough one.
They're alone. So like I have a half brother and a half sister that are, or sorry. Yes, I think that's what they're called, step or half, or I don't know, that are way older than me, that have kids that are far away from them. And they also just moved from Massachusetts to South Carolina. So they're like really alone. Right. And they're like in their mid 70s, like I'm like, oh, geez, when did this happen?
Yeah.
Come on. Just stop. Pause for a bit. But a future apology that will never actually happen is there is a chance that I relinquish my American citizenship, but I would not do it while my parents are still alive. So it won't be an apology that wouldn't come, but would be the worst one in my whole entire life.
Get shun. How dare you?
Yeah. It would literally be, I don't think I would be a part of that family anymore.
Nice. So how have you found, obviously you've been over here now, but like, how have you found the change in life? Like from, obviously you've mentioned New York, you've mentioned Berlin. I mean, you've got UK, like, is anything what you, I guess it's a two-part question, which fundamentally we should be doing, but, is there anything you really miss, what you would love to lift and shift? And let's not say parents, but like something about the culture. Yeah. And is there something in the UK where you go, this is actually quite special?
I would say in and of itself, Jersey to me is the most special place. I love New York City. I loved Maine, for instance, but like I walk out my door into the green lanes, which for nobody who doesn't know about green lanes, they're like 15-mile-per-hour lanes that you have to go really slow. It's two-way traffic, but there's only room for like half of a car. So I walk into that. It's Lord of the Rings. It's beautiful. I'm walking in the Shire, and I'm a huge fantasy person. My other person that I would sit down with would be Tolkien on that bench. So very close second there. I'm in Lord of the Rings. I drive 7 minutes, I'm on a beach, and that is the place that I go to restore everything in my mind. Like if I hear waves, I'm fine. Like I've made it. Like I will be okay. So like in and of itself, I think Jersey is just so unique in that sense. Everybody's so nice. Our friends came and they have a kid, and so we had to go and pick up we were renting a car seat for the kid. Okay. And I had been to the place before, and I got there. We were running late because I forgot to do it. So we were on the way to the airport as we were doing this. Luckily, Jersey's 9 miles by 5 miles. So you can't be that far away from the airport at any given time. And I got to the place and I rang the doorbell and I was like, hi, we're here to pick up the car seat. Normally it's out front. And she was like, oh, that person moved. And I was like, shit. And you can see all the flights coming in as well from wherever you are on Jersey to the airport. And I saw, like, as that happened, I saw the EasyJet flight coming through and I was like, there they are. Cool. And the woman was like, oh yeah, like, come on in for a cup of tea. She was like, do you want some tea? Do you want some biscuits? And I was like, no, I need a car seat, and she was like, come in, like, my husband will give you the directions, which he gave, which is like getting directions in Jersey is the worst thing ever. Cause they're like, remember where the old hospital was 55 years ago? And you're like, no, cause I wasn't living here. But that's the only marker. And so he gave the directions and she was like, are you sure you don't want to stay for like a cup of tea? Oh, like, sorry, it's so messy. We're doing renovation. Like, And I was like, I love you. Thank you so much. You are so kind. I love Jersey so much, but I got to go because they're my friends in the sky getting closer and closer to the airport. But we made it, right? But it's Jersey. And that is the best thing that I could ever ask for in a community. We don't lock our doors. I don't even know what my car sounds like if I lock it.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Nowhere on the island have I ever locked my car. And there's money in there. There's like there's a tenner in my, like, literally, like, in my, like, car thing that I put drinks that I can't think of the name for.
Console?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it, I think.
Oh, wow. I think I was just thinking, I was like, do people even know where Jersey is? Like, I'm using it interchangeable, like UK. It's like, no, it's British Isles and going on. But you said your partner was from the UK, right?
He's from outside of Manchester. He went to Manchester University. We're going to Manchester. I'm visiting for the first time in November.
Oh, wow. Okay. I hope you've got a big list of things you need to. There's lots of things to do when you're in Manchester.
We do. Yeah, we do. Where his parents are in Lytham.
Okay.
So that's where he bounced around a lot when he was younger. His mom and dad are divorced, and they were divorced when he was like 1. So he bounced around quite a lot around the UK. But he's originally from like that kind of like area. So yeah, he's from there. But yeah, Jersey is this random place in the middle of nowhere. That's not New Jersey, but the old one. That's off the coast of France. We can see France, but it's technically a crown dependency. So we follow UK rules when they like work for us, and then otherwise we're like, yeah, we'll make some of our own.
And this, I was just speaking. I was like, oh, I'm using it interchangeable as if it's part of the UK. It's like, yeah, it's UK. It's part of it. And I was like, whoa, do my listeners even know? So thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah. Google Jersey cows. They are so cute. They are cutest cows in the whole entire world.
Ooh, nice. I will meet you. I'll meet you halfway and go. But the nicest thing I've seen is, have you seen the Icelandic horses?
No.
Oh, check them out. So I've been to Iceland quite a few times. Like 4 or 5 times, and the Icelandic horses.
Oh,
so
I'll have
cute.
to look them up. I will. Don't worry. That's my plan. Literally, as soon as we end, and I'll try and find them so I can pet them.
Yeah, why not? So I guess let's narrow in on you and I guess what you actually do. So you've talked about your career and how you've got to what you're doing right now. You teach people, like you've got lots of stuff going on. I guess when I think about I guess for context, my world is a lot of the time it's working with clients to go, actually, how do you build out a employee listening, like a constant employee discovery? So mine is predominantly all around people experience culture. And it's interesting, depending on who I'm talking to, whether it be scale-ups, whether it be big global businesses, there seems like it was a lot of jargon in research and a lot, and what it means. So I guess, can you give us a whistle-stop tour on the difference between generative research and all the other kind of buzzwords, what you hear banging around?
Yeah, of course. I wish that we would streamline it eventually. One day we will, I feel like. But because of the because everybody comes from different perspectives, like we just create new things for the same thing, new buzzwords. But what I would say, like when it comes to generative research, for me, generative research is essentially generating a deep understanding of the person that you're talking to, right? Not about the person and their interactions with your product, not about the person and how much they love your website, not about the person and how often they use your app, right? A deep understanding of that person's day-to-day life, right? And we can understand how it comes in and out of your product.
Yeah.
But by and large, it's about the person, not about your product. Versus more evaluative side of things, like usability testing, which is more product focused. Right? Okay.
So I guess when I kind of, and again, tell me if I'm wrong here, but I guess when I think about generative research, I kind of think of it like the full 360 of the person.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I look at it first. And then the product, like you say, it's kind of product agnostic, I guess, to a point. It's very much the person. Another thing, I guess, how did, when I think about how I got into it by pure accident. Like I was like, oh, what's this thing called design thinking, service design, experience design? And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, Magpie, this thing, oh. I ended up for about 5 or 6 years just going down massive rabbit holes. But I think if it's something around the kind of that whole thing of how you got into it. So you mentioned you got into it through, I think it was UX first and foremost.
Yeah.
What's kind of, obviously there's a whole learning curve around you learning something and then applying it. What's been your biggest, I guess I'm going to use failure, but I don't know, mistake, opportunity to learn in your career?
My God, do we have like 5 days? I've made a mistake at every turn. I could literally like write a book of mistakes that I've made. But I would say there are two major ones. One is on more technical skill and another one's on more soft skill. So I can talk to both of those.
Please, yeah.
The first big mistake that I made was, and it was really embarrassing, and it actually made me, I actually considered quitting user research.
Oh, okay.
For both. So this mistake that I made was in generative research, what I claim to be an expert in now. So what happened was my manager wanted me to do generative research, right, on our users. We were working, so some context, we were working on a B2B platform, and we were talking to social media managers because our platform took Instagram content that people posted of their products, brought it into the platform so that they can then use it in marketing.
Okay.
Right. So it's user generated content is what we were working in. And so I didn't like Instagram.
Okay.
So that's the first interesting part. And this was back when, so I am a perfectionist. I'm a recovering perfectionist. Maybe that's my log line. I'm a recovering perfectionist that likes petting animals and still petting animals though. And so what happened is I had sat down with several people multiple times going over our product to understand it. And for the life of me, I could not wrap my head around this product. I was just like, yeah, sure, I get it. Every single time. And I was like, I don't get it. Like in the narrator, she didn't get it. Stephen King narrating my horror story. But I couldn't admit that. Right. And then my manager was like, oh, I'd love you to do some generative research. Do you feel comfortable doing that? Yeah, sure. She didn't feel comfortable, right? Because I had said that I had some experience in generative research. My experience in generative research was during General Assembly when I did my personal project. That is not experience, because I basically asked people like how much they loved adopting dogs. Right. So that was where we were with that. So I walked into that first generative research session that was scheduled for 90 minutes. Luckily, it was remote. Even way back when we were doing remote research. And I introduced myself. I did some warm-up questions about like such stupid stuff. I was like, how's the weather? Right. And which we talked about, to be honest. So it is legit, yeah. It is a thing. And I got on the platform and I was like, yeah, so how do you use it? Like legit. How do you use it? I had people who were listening in. My manager was in the room. I had several stakeholders in the room. I had people who were calling into the Zoom room listening to this. And the participant, she just went off. She just was going and going and like saying things that I just couldn't for the life of me. I was like, what does this mean? Right. And of course, because I was in that state of mind where I was like, I can't admit that I don't know what this means. Blah, 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 blah. And she stopped talking. And I looked at her. I looked at my manager. I bolted from the room. I bolted. I left. my interview. I left her on red, and I was sobbing. I was like, I can't do this. I'm not a researcher.
Wow.
I tried to avoid going to work, which you can't do and get paid, or not fired. And luckily, again, I had like the best manager in the world and we worked through it and I got through it and I obviously got better at generative research. But that was one of the biggest moments where I was like, I can't do this. Either I quit and I move on to I wanted to be like an interior designer, which is very funny because again, I can't design, like I can't visualize anything. So I don't know where I got that. I was just like, these shows look fun. And so I was like, either I quit or I learn to not have to be perfect, and I learned to ask for help. And that was like a very defining moment in my career.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something around the resilience, right? Like you say, that kind of, I'm a big fan of talking about anti-fragile,
Yeah.
which is actually you grow from that shock and you become stronger because of it. And actually you do change, but actually become a better version.
Yeah.
That mustn't have been easy going, actually, I'm going to lean into this.
Yeah. It took I don't, if, you know what, if it was any other environment, so like if the stars didn't align where I had an amazingly supportive team that was ready to help me, we would not be here right now.
Wow.
Like
Wow.
I would have left. Yeah.
Shout out to good leadership and good people again, eh?
I know. It's unbelievable the difference that it can make.
Wow. You told me a little bit of a story around a prototype. Going into a, tell me about that one.
Don't juggle too many projects. The tagline that we have. Yes. So I was juggling multiple projects. So this was at the same organization. How they didn't fire me is just beyond. Again, wonderful team, very supportive. And I went into this whole thing of being able to ask for help, yet still maintaining this like yes woman kind of, or yes person mentality, because what I was so scared of is I was like, I fought so hard for people to care about user research. What happens if I start saying that I don't have the capacity to do it? Right. And then I got scared. And so I just kept saying, yes, yeah, sure. Sounds good. Let's schedule it. Let's do it. Yay. And so I was juggling 3 different usability tests at once. And I walked into this usability test and I put this prototype in front of this participant. And I was like, I did the whole spiel. I did the whole intro and I was like, yeah. And this is the first task. And literally it was crickets. And I was like, am I invisible? Like, did something happen? Like, are we in a horror novel? Stephen King? Where are you? And everybody was like, Nikki, that's the wrong prototype. And I was like, ooh. Okay.
Shit.
Yeah. In my mind, shit, which doesn't help when you're like, what do I do to recover this?
Yeah.
When literally all you're thinking is shit. And so, and I was like, okay, we're leaning into this whole learning experience thing, as dumb as this is right now, because I fucking hate it. Let's lean into it. And I was like, hey, so-and-so. And I knew the client. Luckily, I knew the client. And I was like, I am so sorry. I just started off with the wrong prototype. It's been a long day. I need a beer. We all need a beer. I'm going to switch over to this other prototype and let's pretend that never happened, even though it's recorded and probably going to be on some blooper reel forever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, where to even start with that?
Oh, there's so many places.
There's something around, again, though, there's something around that thing of, I think what I'm hearing and what I've seen in the past is that kind of transparency, right? That radical transparency and that kind of vulnerability. Where does that come from? So, you've talked about some of your failings, you've kind of, not failings, learning opportunities. You've talked about some of these, you've talked about kind of moments. Like, where does that vulnerability and that radical transparency come from?
It comes from me seeing other people struggle with the same things that I did and not seeing enough people say, hey, me too. Don't worry, you're not alone. Because the worst feeling is to think that you are alone in your failings, or your learning opportunities, right? Which you don't view it like that when you're in them, right? Yeah. So that is the worst feeling, is to feel alone. And when I started managing people, when I started mentoring people, I saw how lonely it was and how they got so down on themselves. They were just full of imposter syndrome and so just, I was like, I just want to hug you, but I can't do that. Well, I can, but I'm also going to tell you all of the ways that I fucked up
Yeah.
so that you don't feel like you are the first and only person that's done this wrong. And again, I have such a long sheet to pull from that if somebody's like, oh no, this usability testing task, and I'm like, oh, let me tell you, I did a usability testing task where my task was literally like, oh, imagine that you've just been so stressed out at work and you're just so looking forward to going to the beach, sitting on the beach, waves crashing, sand in your toes, you're sipping a pina colada, you're reading Stephen King, you're just so enjoying yourself. How would you book that trip?
Straight in.
But like, who needs, like, I'm a fiction writer. So yeah, I get a little bit beyond what's necessary most times. But like, that was a task that I actually wrote and everybody was like, that's not good. Right. So I'm like, don't worry. Whatever you've done, I've either done it worse or I've done the same thing as you. And I am also here to show you these things that I've done badly. So maybe you can skip them or do them less badly.
Yeah.
I would have never been like this. Like if you would have approached me 10 years ago and you would have been like, you're so vulnerable and transparent with your failings, I would have been like, no. No, I'm not. Yeah, I don't fail. you know? So yeah, I think it just came from seeing a lot of other people suffering. And I was like, there's something that I can actually do to fix this.
It's nice.
Or mitigate
it's
it. Mitigate it, not fix.
It's refreshing. And again, I'm probably just going to offend lots of people from America, but I think there's something around, I don't know if it's a cultural norm. And again, I'm in a podcast, so I'm not making, I'm allowed to make assumptions. But like there's something around, I think with Americans, like we're always positive, right? We're always, I've never, like you say, never failed. This is the best version of me. And I think it's a refreshing. Yeah, it's refreshing. It's really refreshing.
It's helped to leave America to see, because like we can oftentimes, and this is what happened when I moved to Germany. So Americans can be very loud, especially in Germany. And so we get, when we're in school, I don't know if this is still a thing, but when I was in school, we got points on our grade for participation, for raising our hand and saying stupid shit. Like, I agree with Jenny's point. Right. Which is why sometimes you see Americans in meetings raising their hand, saying things that might not actually bring that much value to a conversation. Right. And I did that in Germany and people were like, why are you agreeing? Like, just shut up and just let us know if you disagree. Like, stop adding unnecessary time to this meeting and like unnecessary voice to it. And it's like, oh, interesting. There's we're not trying to be annoying. There's a reason. And that goes back to this thing, is there's always a reason behind something. Right. Yeah. Like, and you never know what, like, unless you really understand different cultures and have thought through these different things. Like, I'm American and I didn't even think through it. Right. And so it's to me, it's very interesting to understand that and see those different perspectives.
Nice. Yeah, I think you're spot on. So I used to work for a big consultancy, and it was interesting when I would work with, like, I'm going used to the German side of the business. It was very efficient, and I know I'm being super stereotypical here, but it's like it was around efficiency, and just like you say, just speak up when you don't agree with shit. Like, but like when I think about just listening to you speak, then when I kind of had to deal with like the US side, it was like really circular. I'm like, oh, come on, shit, we need to just move. Yeah. That's fascinating. It just kind of got me thinking then as well. Like, obviously, a lot of what you do, and then you put it into the context of the people who might be listening for me. So you got maybe, I don't know, chief people officers, HRDs, whatever. And one of the biggest things they have right now, and one of the drums what I'm always banging is, you are not doing employee listening if you're doing a survey. Like, you're doing a survey that often you don't do jack shit with the survey, the insight, but it's not even insight, it's data. You're not doing anything with the data to even confirm. Like, I guess, what tips would you have for them kind of my listening now, where how to set up a continuous kind of discovery or continuous listening? How would you approach it?
Yeah. So I always say, I am careful with this because it goes against like every bone in my body when I say stuff like, don't do research unless you're going to do something with it. Right. Because I never want to tell people not to do research, because research is the best thing ever. I'm biased, but it is the best. And so from my side, if you are going to do continuous discovery, so this is where it gets tough, but we're going to talk through it. We're going to work through it. If you're going to do continuous discovery, you need to have set goals for that continuous discovery. And ideally, those goals aren't just things like, let's talk to customers, right? Because when you have something that's so vague as like, we want to talk to 3 customers per week, right? Which is a fine kind of metric, but it's not a goal, right? It's an actual metric. When you have something that's so vague, what happens is your conversations tend to be all over the place. You aren't really sure what to bring up with the customers. You aren't really sure like how to lead them down certain paths of information that you need. You tend to ask more biased, closed questions, right? Because you just don't have these goals in mind, right? But if you instead look at it from a more goal-oriented perspective of like, we want this certain outcome after we talk to these people, then you're more likely to get conversations that stitch together better that you can then actually do something with, right?
Okay.
I know I just talked vaguely, so I'm happy to...
No, I think you're spot on. I think there's something around, I'll use an English analogy of just you're pissing in the wind. Like to a certain point, like you're kind of going in blind, unless, and I guess there's something around that whole just random discovery. I guess sometimes, if I use it in the analogy of, just go and find us a problem. So when I think about, the way I design things, I kind of call it sense making, right? But it's like fundamentally 3 things: human intentions, the system, sense making of a system, what they operate in, or the service, like what is the things, what they're operating through and whatever else. But every now and again, I get a piece of work where it's like, oh, we just want to give you some work and just go and find something for us. Like there's just literally a hunt, which I kind of enjoy because it's like, whatever. But I think you're spot on. I think I've seen it time and time again with, I've done it. I've definitely done this. Like I've gone in and gone, let me come with some cool, like I'll go and interview some people, do some kind of click tracking over here. We'll do all this digital diaries and all this good stuff. And I'm like, and I've got all this data. But I'm like,
yeah,
don't really. It's great. My walls are covered with lots and lots of like breadcrumbs.
yeah.
But what the hell? So I think it's a great point. But I think there's something around, and this probably will lead us into your training actually. But like, there's a piece around the mindsets and I guess the behaviors needed to get into research. And I know, again, we don't prep for these interviews. Like we just go for it. What's like the traits, I guess? What's the mindsets, the behaviors you think what makes up a good researcher?
So the cool thing is, like, honestly, I think anybody can be a user researcher, right? Or anybody can have the capability to do it. And a lot of people say, obviously, empathy is big. But I think beyond empathy and almost more importantly is this detached curiosity.
Nice.
So it's not necessarily, it's very like egoless curiosity, right? So I'm going in to truly understand you as a human with the intent of understanding you, not with the intent of selling something to you, not with the intent of, just knowing about how our product works for you, right? Or not with the intent of getting you to say how much you love this feature that we just made, right? So it's like really detached curiosity with that empathy. And when you can marry those 2 things, you have a really strong foundation for being able to go into these conversations without an agenda, but with your goals, right? So even if and like the thing is like with continuous discovery, sometimes people say that they get scared to make goals because they're like, well, we're only focused then on one thing. And I'm like, yeah, but like you have plenty of time. It's okay if your goal is to find the top problems. Like that's totally fine. You can like explore personas later, or you can run multiple continuous discovery studies at the same time if you have all the resources in the world. And if you do, let me know because I want to come and do that. Thanks. But like, you don't have to be scared of focusing because with that focus comes that sense making. It comes the ability to stitch these things together and to like understand people surrounding this topic. And so then, because like ultimately, to me, like research is a support system. Like we're here, like those kids in like pools where they have those like those blow up things around their arms so they don't drown, essentially. Like we're that. Like we're there to help like keep teams afloat. Like I also say, like, like when you're bowling and when kids are bowling, they have like those gutter things where the ball can't go into the gutter, which are just the most beautiful things in the world when you're bowling. We're also we're those gutter things that go on top of the gutter so that your ideas don't go into the gutter. We can't promise you a strike, but we can promise you that your ideas aren't going to be complete and utter shit if you use user research. So like we're there as that support system. So like, again, like if we are trying to support a team, that team probably has goals, and our research should help complement those goals. So that's why it is important to think about what your teams need from you so that you can help support them. Because research, again, as you said, it's pissing into the wind alone. It's just it's not meant to just stand on its own.
Yeah. And I think I was just thinking, just listening to them, there's something like you mentioned, that alone thing. And it kind of got me thinking, there's been times when I've done interviews, like one-to-ones or full-on kind of tag-alongs immersion. And one of the biggest learnings I ever had was never to do an interview on your own. Like, and I remembered it, and doing back-to-back interviews. Oh my God, I nearly blew my brains out. So intense. But I guess thinking about that, some people when I think about how my listeners will be using, I don't know, employee listening, and often it's like, we'll do a survey once a year and then we'll do jack all with it, collect dust. And then every now and again, there's some people who will go, actually, we'll do a bit of a temperature check. We'll zoom in on a couple of teams and just kind of do some discovery and understand what that is. How would you approach doing like one-to-one interviews? Like what's kind of like your flow of how to make sure going into an interview, you're getting the right stuff, you're setting up the right space and stuff, I guess. How would you go about it?
So again, like making sure that like so I can talk to anybody about anything forever. Like I remember like I was at a party, and I almost said I'm frequently at parties, which is not the case because I'm literally in bed by 9. But when I used to frequently be at parties, people would always say to me, "Oh, that you are so interesting. Thank you for the conversation." And I was like, I didn't say anything, literally, but thanks for the compliment. Like you spoke the whole entire time, because I'm naturally like a listener. I don't like talking as much as I like listening, right? So I can go in and talk to anybody about anything. Like I can be like, why did you buy a new refrigerator? Like, tell me everything about that. Like, it's so fascinating. Like, it's just interesting to me. And so with that, I know myself, and I know other researchers, we can get easily distracted in one-on-one interviews, because I'm like, literally tell me everything, right? So if you don't go in with those goals in mind during one-on-one interviews, you can get really off base, which will then end you with all those beautiful Post-it notes on the wall that make no sense together, because you haven't actually thought through what it is that you want to synthesize. Like, what is the data that you actually need to pull together? Because that needs to be consistent in order for you to get somewhere at the end. And again, help your teams make better decisions. So in terms of one-on-one interviews, I always like to make sure that I have that goal set up and that is agreed upon with the team or with whomever I'm working with, right? And then as actually you said, I have some playfulness, right? And I have that vibe. I operate under the principle that I'm a human. And even though I'm a researcher, I'm still a human. So I have quite a positive relationship. Like I'm not like, hello, I am Nikki. Thank you for coming to this usability test. I am smiley. I'm bubbly. Like I'm nice. I will ask you warm up questions. Like I'm like, hey, what's your favorite hobby? Like, what do you like to do in your free time? Do you watch Netflix? What have you watched on Netflix? Do you hate Netflix? Do you read? Do you like Stephen King? Like, I will have those conversations with you because it builds rapport. And those kinds of conversations and those kinds of warm-up questions where you're having those open-ended and like more conversational kinds of discussions prime the person for when you get into the actual interview, they know how to answer you.
Okay.
They know what because like the relationship between a researcher and a participant is a really weird one if you think about it. Like, I'm like, hey, I picked you off the street through a screener survey. You have no idea who I am. I know some stuff about you. You might not know that I know some stuff, but I do know some stuff, but I'm not going to tell you because that's weird, and like, I'm here to like literally record everything that you're saying, like talk to me, and it is like a really weird relationship when you think about it. And so I would say like being able to have those initial conversations that you would have with anyone can help you with building that rapport and setting the expectation of what that person needs to give you, because people have that social desirability bias. They want to please you in this situation. And so if you are able to give them that expectation, then that makes the conversation better for everybody.
Nice. So then I guess, and again, I'm going to take us down a path. But I think, for one thing, what comes up a lot of time is kind of mixed methods, doing kind of different approaches to kind of getting insight. And I think a lot of time going back to that whole thing of you get a survey, but actually, there's many tools in the toolbox on how to do this. So I guess 2-part question, again, fundamentally breaking every single rule, what we should be doing, should be one at a time. But yeah, I guess the first part is maybe talk a little bit about what mixed methods is. And then the follow-up is, obviously, when you're doing one-to-ones and you're doing immersion, there's a whole Hawthorne effect, right? What can happen and that whole bias can slip in. Maybe share a little bit about that if you could.
Yeah, I have a hard time with the Hawthorne. So I'm gonna choose to answer the mixed methods question first.
Sure.
So for me, mixed methods is essentially taking different pieces of data. It's typically quant and qual if you're talking about the mixed methods, so that you can understand a more holistic picture of what's going on, right? It's all about getting that holistic picture. And to be completely honest, for a really long time, so I have my master's in psychology. So I did stats. I did stats in undergrad too. And it's like, literally, I walked out of my master's program and I was like, fuck numbers forever. Like, I don't know how to do anything when it comes to, like, literally the next day, I like forgot everything that had to do with stats or like numbers based quantitative data analysis, like anything. I was like, bye. And so for a really long time, I tried to avoid quant data. And so what happened is I did the qual and I was like, qual's important. Qual's the most important. We need to do qual. We need to understand people. Qual is important. And then when it came to things like measuring usability, I was like, qual's important, but like sitting there like with my hands over my face so nobody could actually see me, which doesn't work. Just in case you were wondering. So and like then I would go to my teams. I would be like, look at all these amazing insights. And they were like, all right, which one should we prioritize? And I'm like, I don't know. You figure it out. Like, I'm done. I did my qual. Check. Right. And so what qual does is it obviously gives us the why. It gives us perceptions. It gives us mental models. It gives us all these really juicy, deep things about people. But what quant does is it tells us what's actually happening. It gives us so much more color and context that helps us connect the dots, that helps us generalize to larger populations, that helps us prioritize, that helps us answer like such tough questions that qual just can't answer. And so there isn't one better. Like they're literally a marriage, like they're a happy marriage. They belong together. They're, my American fans will understand peanut butter and jelly. You English people don't get that because jelly's Jello and that's weird. And who would have that with peanut butter? But close enough. Fish and chips. There you go.
Yeah.
There we go. So I'm relating to all. Well, no, because we'll go on forever with these. But they work better together inherently. And so whenever you can do mixed methods, I recommend doing it. It's really great to how to do qual first and then see the larger trends. It's also great if you feel like you have a really big project that's way too big in scope and you need to start with quant to actually narrow it down. And then you follow up with qual to dive deeper into those specific topics that you've deemed as higher importance. So like they're so beautiful together that we should never look at one or the other and say, ooh, we should try and use them together as much as possible.
And they can run parallel, right? I guess at the same time.
Convergent parallel. Yes. Yeah. Yes, that's the scare. I'm still scared of convergent parallel design. I'm still like, no, this is almost too much for my brain. But yes, it can run. Some people have that skill. I don't.
No, same. I'm definitely a qual type person rather than quant. So I'm dyslexic and dyspraxic. So instantly, really, I shouldn't like any of them, being completely honest.
Yeah.
I've got to take in words, I've got to take in numbers or emotions. But I definitely lean similar to you, definitely more towards a kind of qual. But so going back to the qual and quant, there's also lots and lots of different tools, right? There's like for one-to-ones, focus groups, digital diaries, immersions, all these other cool stuff. And I'm going to come to the half one, I haven't forgot. Yeah. But I guess what's the kind of your three go-to approaches, and I'm going to use methods, but tools, whatever you want to call them. Like, what's your three go-tos?
So my first and favorite is contextual inquiry. So I love being in somebody's natural environment and watching them. Sounds really weird.
Oh, hi, Nikki in the back garden.
Hello again. Just watching you. Don't worry. I'm just taking some notes. I'm not going to ask any questions either. I'm just going to stand here and watch you.
Stare at you and not blink.
Yeah, exactly. And then like jot stuff down. But contextual inquiry for me is one of the most powerful tools because there is no other approach in which you can understand such a full context. I remember I was working in a hospitality company, and I had done interviews, about the product and walkthroughs with the product and stuff like that. And we were working with concierge, and I went and I watched them. I went and did contextual inquiry, and just the amount of things that I learned that I would have never even known to ask for. Like contextual inquiry is one of the methods that uncovers unknown unknowns. Yeah. And I think for me, that is the coolest shit in the world because like they had this like big ass notebook that had this just like a different language in it. Like it was like a completely like different language. And I was like, what is that? I wouldn't have known. If I was sitting here doing a Zoom being like, can you please walk me through the product? I would have no idea that you had this like weird notebook next to you filled with like stuff that looks like a grimoire, like I wouldn't have known that. So I wouldn't have known to ask about it. Right. And so I think contextual inquiry for me is the coolest because you uncover unknown unknowns. Nice. My second favorite, I would say, is card sorting. Actually, okay. I think card sorting is really fun. Especially so you could do it on like a really, really like tactical, like closed card sorting, like let's figure out the information architecture based on what we already have. Or you can kind of like be like, what do you think, participant? And like, it's kind of a bit of like co-design, co-creation. And I love those things. But card sorting also I find just inherently so helpful because it can set your product up for success right from the get-go. Yeah. Like it's your bones. Card sorting is your bones. It's your skeleton. And if you set up that information architecture in a positive way, you're already so far beyond most products.
It reminds me of something so I guess it's a follow-up question, and I know I'm sneaking lots of little questions in. When we did what was I doing? I think I was helping a company bring in people into the new building, and it's like, actually, what do you want this new building to be like? Without actually asking the question, what do you want it to be like? Yeah. And one of the things was like, I just got lots and lots of donuts, propped them up, and I was like, cards. You want a donut? Sort this out for me. Yeah. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? Like enticing him with donuts?
Yes. That is amazing. I love so it, like to me, like that kind of research is so fun. We don't do it anymore. It's like, it's just not a thing. I used to sit in Starbucks with a sign saying like, I'll buy you a coffee if you talk to me. Sounds really desperate. But like I had a topic, like, and people would like come and talk to me because like I was in New York City. So like and at one company, we were B2B2C, and we didn't do a lot of B2C research like within the actual organization. And it was like buying like makeup was like one of our like things. And I went to the mall and I was like, hey, person, like what you doing? Like, can I buy you a coffee and you can like tell me like how you are like figuring out this whole makeup situation,
Nice.
like, and that shit's so fun, and we don't do it anymore.
Yeah, it's a real shame. I'm going to pause as well. I'm going to let you off with a half on because I've just seen time and I want to know all about like the services what you do. So obviously you've got this learning stuff, what you do online. Tell me everything about that. Like, yeah, tell me about your whole kind of community and your membership and stuff.
Yeah. It's fun. I don't see this is when I'm like, I don't know how to talk about myself. Like I can talk about, no, I don't know how to talk about like not failing. There we go. I'm like, this isn't failing. What do I say? No. So essentially what I did is I saw a lot of gaps in the areas of like mentorship and helping researchers with like up-leveling in their careers and like feeling less imposter syndrome. And I had mentorship way back when. I paid for the mentorship. I had really great mentors. I felt really fortunate for the mentorship that I got outside of the organization that I was working in, or that organizations that I was working in. And I was like, I think that this would be really fun. And so on the side of working full time, I set up my like academy, and I used to do like courses or like group courses and stuff like that. And then as a business owner, you start to find things that you absolutely hate doing. And there are two types of those things that you absolutely hate doing that you literally need to do because they keep your business alive. Marketing, sales, sales pages, and things that you hate doing that you can leave behind. Right. And so I have started to like figure out over the past few years, like how to do the things that I love doing. And so what I currently do now is a lot of like one-on-one mentorship with people. And then to be completely transparent, that's a really high price point. Like, and I am yours. Like I sell my soul to you for 6 months. I will answer every single question that you have. I'm in constant contact with my mentees, like daily contact with them, helping them, giving them feedback on literally everything that they could ask for. It's like, hey, research plan, I need feedback. Hey, screener survey, I need feedback. Hey, my stakeholders like said this. I don't know what to say to them. What do I say? So like I'm in constant contact with them, and it is a high price point. And so I was playing around with like different price points, and I was like, why don't I do a membership? And that's how that was born. Literally, it was just like, I think I'm going to do this. And right now it's at like 160 people. Nice. Researchers / designers who do research. And we are just like it's just a community. I have it on Heartbeat, which is like a community, like messaging thing. So like, it's like, you can go on, you can ask questions. I'm in the Heartbeat every day, like answering questions, hanging out with people. We do live sessions. We just had actually for 2 hours earlier today, we did practicing writing usability tasks.
Nice.
Yeah. So we do that. We try and do like, career days where it's like, hey, this is 2 hours, dedicate it to your resume. Just take the time out and dedicate it. And like, I'm there for you to ask questions, like stuff like that. And like, we have guest experts because like, I literally don't know everything, which is great. So I get to like invite people on and be like, teach me too, so we had like a pricing research expert. We had a quant researcher on, I dragged my husband on for product management. We have somebody who's coming in to talk about like setting up a freelance as a user researcher. So yeah, it's just a really cool, fun space. And like the whole point of it is to like, let's take away the things that suck. And like the things that we're sitting there stewing over on our own, questioning, let's put the space so that we can get those answers, so that we can have like a shit ton of fun. So we can get creative, so we can experiment, so we can be like, I don't know what this is, but like, let's brainstorm together with this community.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. And then I also write on Substack. That's my final one. I'm writing content on Substack now, which has been super fun, super rewarding.
So that's been quite, I want to say new shift,
Yeah.
but it's quite recent, right? How have you
Yeah.
found that?
It's super fun. I really, really like it. Like it's the reason that I did it is because the economy is not great, right? Everybody, like, I can't get laid off unless I lay myself off, in which
Mm-hmm.
then I lose my visa and then I'm back in America and I can
Hi,
take back that
USA.
apology to my parents because there I am. And now I should apologize them for living in their house. But and my husband. And so, essentially, like, I had some contract writing that got really ramped down. And I was like, you know what? I flipped a shit when that happened. I was like, because like I have to make a certain amount of money to keep my visa and to keep my business license so that we can live on Jersey. Because my husband's UK, but not Jersey. Jersey's weird.
Okay.
As a tax-friendly environment, we're weird. And so I freaked out. I freaked out. And then I was like, okay, this is just another opportunity for me to create my own content, which is something that I wanted to try doing. And so I went and I signed up to Substack because Substack felt like the least evil of all the evils that are out there now, right?
Yeah.
And they're pretty good for the writer. I know there's always shit that's going on, but yeah. So I went onto Substack and started writing, and I love creating content. I love getting requests from people. It's so fun. I just like to get a request from somebody being like, hey, like I get really like, hey, I was just laid off. Like, what do I do? You know, and like, I'm like, hey, I'm here for you. You know, like, let's do it. Like, let's go through this. And then I monetize some of it. So some of it's behind a paywall because, to be honest, I do need to get paid by somebody.
Yeah.
So yeah. And there are times where it's really hard to own your own business if you've never done it before, because you learn so much stuff that you wish you could undo or redo. And at one point, you know, I was just so scattered. Now I'm trying to pull things together more. So I think I'm not touching anything. My husband was like, don't change anything until next year. And I was like, okay, you're right. So I'm not changing anything until next year, but I might like try and find a way to merge the Substack with my membership or whatever that might look like, just to make it easier, because billing, invoicing, and I am currently in the process of finishing my first book on research. Yeah.
Nice.
I can say it out loud now because I have beta readers who are expecting the manuscript in 6 days. So, so it's given me opportunities where I'm like, okay, I'm freaking out, but I'm going to change this into an opportunity.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I've been up to. It's been really stressful, but like it's pushed me in directions that ultimately I wish that I had gone in sooner on my own, but I'm glad I'm not going into later.
Yeah. Yeah. This is your first book, right?
This is my first book.
And is it self-published or with publisher?
Self. Yeah, I'm just going all self.
Don't blame you. So I've just come out the back end of it. Mine's coming out in October.
Yeah.
And oh my days, what an experience. That beta readers, buckle in, because that was a journey.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
Yeah.
So, but it sounds awesome. It sounds like I'm looking forward to reading that when that comes out for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we tell everyone where we can reach out and connect with you, right at the start, I asked you what you wanted to be when you grow up. As you know, Nikki, we always are growing up. We're always developing. So we never actually get to that point. If I was to ask you this question now, what do you want to be when you grow older? What would your answer be now?
I want to be a horror fiction writer.
Nice.
That's all I want to do with my time. Beautiful. I literally, it hurts me in the morning to stop doing, because I write in the mornings and then I go to work, and it pains me sometimes to step away from my characters. So yes.
Nice. Thank you. Where can my listeners connect with you, follow you, buy your book, get on a membership, tell us everywhere? All
the things. I'm primarily on LinkedIn. So if you follow me on LinkedIn, you will just hear me incessantly and get annoyed. No, but hopefully I'll have some helpful tips for you on LinkedIn. So that is the best place to hear about things. You can also look up my Substack because I do share like events that I'm a part of. I'll share my book on there. I'll share the waitlist for my book on there. I share links to my membership on there as well. My Substack is a great place Substack and LinkedIn are two great places to keep posted on everything that I'm doing
Nice.
or not
Nikki,
doing.
yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for
Yeah,
coming on the
thank
show.
you.
Yeah, it's been great to meet you in real life. Thanks very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, thank you so much. I've really, really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks.